Many fantastic moments come to mind when you think of Kurt Angle. His Olympic gold medal win with a broken freaking neck, if you haven't heard of that. His fantastic bouts with Shawn Michaels, Brock Lesnar, Shane McMahon and many, many more. Driving a milk truck to the ring and drenching everyone in it. Kurt is a phenomenal talent and one of the clearest examples of transitioning into the art of professional wrestling. He is known for endless amounts of marvellous and hilarious moments within WWE. For some reason, many fans wanting to return, always looking for evidence as to whether he will or will not. It's been consistently teased in interviews, however, it hasn't quite happened yet. Personally, I don't get it. I don't get why people would want him back. I mean, he wasn't even that good, of course, I'm joking. The man was great at everything he did. However, despite all this, there are a few things that WWE would most likely want you to forget if he were to ever return to the company in which he made his name in sports entertainment. So without further ado, I'm Cam from InkSpot and this is 10 things that WWE want you to forget about Kurt Angle. Number 10, TNA. Now, you probably thought this would be higher on the list, but WWE have changed their attitude towards the second biggest wrestling company in the USA. Like, they actually openly reference them now. Like, that's huge for WWE. But they probably don't want you remembering that some of his best matches actually took place in Dixie Carter's Crazy House of Wrestling. Matches such as Samoa Joe at Turning Point 2006, AJ Styles at Hard Justice 2008, and they especially wouldn't want you remembering the fantastic steel cage match with Jeff Jarrett. Kurt has actually spent over half his career with TNA, and I don't think that would be the first thing that Vince wanted to remember about the returning Olympic hero. Number 9, his old theme was used for the Patriot. Not going to beat around it. The Patriot. Like, I'm so very against any character that is solely based on how patriotic they are. Like, a character like this is never ever going to succeed. Surely they've got to have something else about them. But anyway, despite my hate for characters of this nature, WWE would not want you remembering that Kurt Angle's theme, Medal, was never originally made for him. It was first used in the August 8th edition of Raw, where it was the Patriots theme song. Also, Sergeant Slaughter used it at In Your House 97. A little fun fact for you there. Number 8, he said he wanted perverted sex with Booker T's wife. I feel like this is brushed past way too much, like it's hardly ever talked about between wrestling fans, but it's actually so bad and so stupid. The fact that WWE actually did this is just awful. I don't get who comes up with half the stupid stuff that WWE do, but anyway, it started off with Kurt Angle calling Sharmell, and I quote, a gutter slut. Then, the next week, it would escalate even further as Kurt would explain in an interview that he wasn't trying to cheap shot Booker T by insulting his wife. No, Kurt was simply a man with a simple desire, a desire that happened to be having sexual intercourse with, you guessed it, gutter sluts. In a not too subtle promo, Kurt explained that he wanted to have sex with Booker T's wife, and that it couldn't just be any kind of sex, but perverted sex. Like, seriously, who the comes up with this stuff? You think some of the writing today is bad, but at least you don't have Roman Reigns running around perverting on people's wives saying he wants to have perverted sex with them. The writing here, this is Number 7, he nearly killed Shane McMahon. At King of the Ring 2001, Shane McMahon faced off against Kurt Angle in a classic street fight. The match was unbelievably brutal, and is one that most wrestling fans agree on to be a fantastic match. The two men left it all out there, and it was truly a fantastic bout. However, one lasting part of the match that stays with wrestling fans is Kurt Angle trying to suplex Shane through the glass sheet that was part of the set. However, when Kurt tried to put Shane through the glass, it kind of just didn't break. Then the boss's son landed very, very awkwardly onto his neck/head area, onto the concrete flooring. The glass didn't smash because whoever was putting the set together didn't order sugar glass as it was meant to be, but ordered plexiglass. Now, I don't know a lot about glass, but Wikipedia says plexiglass is a transparent thermoplastic often used in a sheet form as a lightweight or shatter-resistant alternative to glass. I mean, that sounds f***ing hard. Number 6, Daniel Buda. On the November 4, 2004 episode of SmackDown, Kurt Angle challenged various contestants from WWE's reality TV show Tough Enough, giving them a chance to prove themselves against the Olympic hero. The narrative was most likely going to be the strong Olympian plows through the rookies, thus looking like a monster in the process. Simple. Angle steamrolled through his first opponent, Chris Benoit, breaking his ribs in the process. Next came at one Daniel Buda, who has a legitimate background in MMA. Daniel refused to be the next victim of Angle's. After tussling with him for a few moments, Buda gripped Angle's right arm and forced it into an awkward angle, if you pardon the pun. As reported by WrestleShark.com, Buda said, "I caught him in a key lock, pulled him into a Kimura and tried to snap his arm off. The referee watched Angle's arm bend further and further back until he forced a 3 count, thus giving Angle the win. However, both of Daniel Buda's shoulders were not on the mat, thus showcasing Angle as weak. After this, Kurt jumped up and started shouting in the face of his opponent, which we can only assume that he said something along the lines of, 'Good work mate, keep it up.'" Number 5. Drugs. In 2006, Kurt Angle was suspended for violating the WWE wellness policy, which Angle attributes to him working hurt and not being allowed time off. Shortly after this incident, Kurt would ask for and be granted his release from WWE. Kurt has gone on to state that he was taking about 65 extra strength Vicodin every single day while battling his drug addiction and issues during his wrestling career. Apparently, Kurt's former drug addiction is one of the sole reasons for WWE not re-signing him at this time, but that isn't confirmed and it's only a rumour. Also, there are huge rumours to suggest that Kurt Angle was taking steroids during his time with WWE. He got noticeably smaller once WWE implemented the wellness policy back in 2006. He lost a lot of weight, and by the time he was wrestling on the ECW brand in the summer of 2006, Angle probably weighed about 30 pounds less than when he debuted with the company. This led to many people believing that Kurt Angle was using steroids. Number 4, he badmouthed WWE. Kurt has had some rather controversial words to say about the WWE and some of its workers in the past. He's openly gone on record saying that Mark Henry, Batista and John Cena are not good wrestlers, which is to some extent understandable. I mean, I think John Cena's a fine wrestler, but I don't think you can say the same for Mark Henry and Batista. However, that's not the worst that Angle said about the company. Kurt has gone on record on saying powerful phrases such as, "WWE was running me into the ground," "I thought I was stuck," and the most intriguing of all, "I already had my eyes set on TNA," when referring to his late run with WWE. Number 3, backstage fight with Eddie. Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero feuded a lot throughout 2004 on WWE television, but did you know they got into it backstage as well? Kurt Angle was on Vince Russo's The Brand podcast, where he told a story about him and Eddie getting into a real-life fight backstage. He claims that the fight didn't last very long as he was able to get the upper hand on the late WWE superstar. Kurt said it happened with Eddie Guerrero, and it was a pretty quick fight. Eddie was pretty frustrated at the time, as talented as he was, his body was breaking down. He was in a car accident in the early 2000s, and then he had to go to rehab to get himself straightened out. When he got out, he was doing great, but he was still struggling physically and mentally. His body just wasn't holding up. Working with him, he was always yelling and screaming afterwards saying, "I was too stiff, and I need to take better care of him." After a while, I just said, "F it. Eddie, if you have a problem with me, let's do it right now." The fight didn't last very long. I got him in a front headlock and started choking him out. The funny thing is, JBL, who likes to stir things up, later asked Eddie, "Why would you try and double leg an Olympic gold medalist?" Where this may be a funny story looking back now, I'm sure WWE would not like you remembering that Kurt Angle once had a fight with one of their most cherished deceased superstars. Number 2, all of his great matches with Chris Benoit. Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit have faced off a total 32 times on WWE television, spanning from 2000 to 2005. And considering both men's styles, you could say the two are wrestling soulmates. The two men have never failed to entertain, no matter the stipulation, whether it be their WrestleMania 17 singles match, Judgment Day 2001 in a 3-stage of Hell match, on an episode of Raw in a steel cage match, or the Ultimate Submission match at Backlash 2001. They have put on a number of pure wrestling classics, but considering WWE completely scrubbing their database of Chris Benoit, do not expect any of these amazing bouts to be on Kurt's returning video package. Number 1, he would have gone to UFC. With all the headlines of CM Punk's UFC bout, Bobby Lashley's stint with Bellator, and Brock Lesnar, MMA has never been ever so present within the world of professional wrestling. Just after Kurt struck gold in 1996, Angle was definitely not short of options. When Angle was asked the question on Jim Ross's podcast on whether or not he would have took the same career path if he could decide again, Kurt said given the choice again, he would no doubt have gone to UFC. According to Angle, had the popularity of UFC been the same in the 90s as it is now, he would have looked past the world of professional wrestling and headed straight for mixed martial arts. While it is possible Kurt may have found his way into wrestling at some point in his career, had he taken this career path, it's very unlikely he would have ever found his way to WWE or even TNA. And that was it. That was the top 10 things that WWE would want you to forget about Kurt Angle if he made a return. So as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to check out our other videos, which will be located on screen. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We usually tweet during Raw, SmackDown and all pay-per-views, sometimes NXT. Also, don't forget to share us with your friends if they like wrestling. And finally, thank you for watching this video and we'll see you next time.